Imagine walking into work, only to be humiliated by the very people who are supposed to protect and serve. That's exactly what happened when a group of white police officers decided to pull a so-called prank on a black man, chaining a heavy ball and chain to his leg, laughing as if it was all just a joke. But what they didn't realize, the man they were mocking wasn't just another civilian. He was their new boss. The room fell silent as the truth sank in. The officers' smug smiles faded, replaced by wide eyes and nervous glances. The man, who had remained calm through it all, slowly looked up, letting the weight of the moment settle. Would he let this slide? Or would he remind them, in a way they'd never forget, exactly who he was? Stay tuned to see how this shocking moment unfolds. The weight of the chain wasn't the only thing pressing down on the room. It was the silence. The officers, who had been laughing just moments ago, now shifted uncomfortably. They exchanged quick glances, realizing their mistake, but unsure of how to fix it. The man, still calm, studied their faces. He had seen this kind of behavior before. He had dealt with men like them before. But today was different. Today, he was in charge. He took a slow breath, the metal cuff cold against his skin. None of them had bothered to ask who he was before pulling their so-called prank. They had assumed he was beneath them, assumed he had no power. But they were wrong, so very wrong. One officer cleared his throat, forcing an awkward chuckle. "Hey man, it was just a joke." But the man didn't smile. He simply raised an eyebrow. Was it? The officer's forced laugh faded, and an uneasy tension settled over the room. No one knew what to say next. The man, still standing with the chain locked around his ankle, let the silence stretch. He wanted them to sit with their mistake, to feel the weight of what they had done, just as he felt the weight of that chain. One of the younger officers shifted nervously. "Come on, let's get that off him," he muttered, reaching for the keys. But before he could, the man raised a hand, stopping him. "No rush," he said evenly, his voice calm but firm. "Seems like you are all having fun. Don't let me ruin it." The officers glanced at each other, searching for an easy way out. But there wasn't one. Because this wasn't just a joke. It was a reflection of something deeper, something ugly they hadn't expected to face today. And now their new boss was making sure they did. The weight in the room grew heavier, though no one dared to speak. The officers, who had once been so confident, now stood frozen, waiting to see what their new boss would do next. The man glanced down at the chain around his ankle, his expression unreadable. Then slowly he met their eyes again, one by one. "Tell me something," he said, his voice quiet but sharp. "When you did this, when you laughed, what exactly was the joke?" No one answered. The officer who had called it just a joke shifted uncomfortably, looking at his feet. Another coughed, as if trying to clear the lump in his throat. The man let the silence linger, watching them squirm. "See, I think jokes are funny," he continued, his voice steady. "But I don't seem to be laughing. And from the looks of it, neither are any of you." The tension thickened. The man had made his point without raising his voice, without making a single threat. Yet somehow that made it even worse for them. The realization was sinking in. They had played the wrong game with the wrong man. And now the moment of reckoning was here. The air in the room felt thick, heavy with something unspoken. The officers avoided eye contact, shifting on their feet like schoolboys caught in a lie. The man remained still, his calm presence more unsettling than if he had yelled. But just as the silence seemed unbearable, a voice broke through from the doorway. "Everything okay in here?" The officers turned sharply. A senior commander stood at the entrance, his gaze flicking between the man and the chain around his leg. His brows furrowed. What the hell is going on? One officer, desperate to regain control of the situation, forced a laugh. Just a little prank, sir. No harm done. The commander's expression darkened. Is that right? He stepped inside, his tone unreadable. Then he did something no one expected. He walked straight to the man in the chain and extended a hand. "Welcome, Captain," he said. The room froze. If the officers had any hope that they could sweep this under the rug, it was gone now. Their new boss wasn't just another officer. He had friends in high places. And suddenly, the so-called joke had consequences far beyond what they had imagined. The room felt like it had stopped breathing. The officers stood frozen, their faces drained of color as the word asterisk asterisk, Captain asterisk asterisk echoed in their minds. The man asterisk asterisk, their boss asterisk asterisk, studied them for a long moment before finally reaching down, grasping the chain, and giving it a small tug. The metal links rattled against the floor, a sharp reminder of what they had done. "Unlock it," the commander ordered, his voice cold. One of the officers fumbled with the key, his hands shaking as he struggled to fit it into the lock. The cuff popped open and the chain clattered to the ground, but the weight of the moment still hung in the air. The man stretched his ankle, taking his time. Then he looked up, his expression unreadable. "You see," he said slowly, "there's something funny about power. When you think you have it, you stop questioning yourself. You forget there's always someone watching, someone holding the real keys." The officers stiffened. They knew he wasn't just talking about this moment. He was talking about asterisk asterisk, all asterisk asterisk, the moments they thought no one was watching. The pranks, the power trips, the so-called jokes that weren't jokes at all. Then the man did something they didn't expect. He smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that put people at ease. It was the kind that made them nervous. "Report to my office first thing tomorrow," he said, his tone light but firm. "We'll be having a little conversation about leadership." And just like that, he walked out, leaving the officers standing there, feeling the weight of something far heavier than a chain. The next morning, the officers arrived at the captain's office, their nerves on edge. They had no idea what to expect. Would they be fired? Suspended? Or worse, would their new boss make their lives miserable for as long as he was in charge? But when they stepped inside, the captain wasn't angry. He wasn't looking for revenge. Instead, he sat calmly, hands folded, and simply asked, asterisk asterisk, what did you learn asterisk asterisk? Silence filled the room. Some looked down, others shifted uncomfortably. But slowly they began to understand. The lesson wasn't just about what they had done to him. It was about how they treated people when they thought no one important was watching. As they left the office, the weight of their choices lingered. The chain was gone, but the memory remained. And this time, the joke wasn't funny at all. It was a wake-up call they wouldn't forget.